What if the biggest thing holding you back isn't your circumstances, but the way you think? Every day we make thousands of decisions, most of them automatic, unquestioned, and dangerously flawed. In Critical Thinking Mastery, Tyler Andrew Cole reveals how hidden biases, emotional reactions, and mental shortcuts quietly sabotage our judgment without us even noticing. This book isn't about being smarter. It's about thinking clearer, learning how to break free from manipulation, how to question assumptions, how to make better decisions in your career, relationships, and life. If you've ever felt stuck, overwhelmed by choices, or unsure whether you're thinking for yourself or being influenced, then this audiobook will change the way you see the world. Listen carefully, because once you master your thinking, you master everything else. Chapter 1. Introduction to Critical Thinking. Most people think they already know how to think clearly. They believe that forming opinions, defending their beliefs, or arguing effectively means they are thinking critically. But Cole shows us that thinking is not the same as critical thinking, because if you never train your mind to analyze and evaluate, your thoughts can mislead you. He begins by pointing out something simple but powerful. Our brains are wired for efficiency, not accuracy. Every day, we make countless decisions automatically. We react to news, social media, and conversations without stopping to question them. This automatic thinking can be useful for survival, but dangerous when we need to make informed decisions. Some people assume intelligence alone protects them from mistakes. They read a lot, form opinions quickly, and trust their instincts. But without discipline, their thinking is full of assumptions, biases, and unverified information. Just like someone who builds a house on sand, their conclusions may look solid, but collapse under pressure. Cole drives home a simple truth. Critical thinking is not natural. It must be learned. And learning it starts with asking questions. Questions about yourself and the information you encounter. What is this claim really saying? What evidence supports it? Are there other possible explanations? Am I letting emotion or bias influence my judgment? Critical thinking doesn't mean doubting everything or being negative. It's about being clear, fair, and logical. It's about pausing before accepting something as true. And it's about being willing to change your mind when the evidence calls for it. A skill most people avoid because changing beliefs feels uncomfortable. The real power of critical thinking is in its results. When you practice it, you make better decisions, solve problems more effectively, and communicate more persuasively. You become less vulnerable to manipulation and misinformation. You see the world more clearly and act with intention rather than reaction. To sum it up, critical thinking is the discipline of thinking about your thinking. It's not automatic, it's deliberate. And in a world full of noise, distractions, and information overload, mastering it is one of the most important skills you can develop. Chapter 2. Understanding your thought patterns. Your mind follows patterns, habits of thinking that have developed over years. Some are helpful shortcuts, allowing you to make quick decisions. Others are traps, guiding you toward errors without you even realizing it. Cole explains that these patterns come from your upbringing, culture, experiences, and emotions. They shape how you interpret information, form beliefs, and respond to challenges. While they make thinking faster, they don't always make it accurate. Some patterns are easy to miss. You might favor information that confirms your existing beliefs, ignore evidence that contradicts them, or assume outcomes based on limited experience. Other patterns show up in how quickly you jump to conclusions or react emotionally to situations. Awareness is the key. By observing your own thought processes, You gain the ability to respond intentionally instead of reacting automatically. Noticing recurring assumptions, emotional triggers, and mental shortcuts allows you to question them and choose better ways to think. Ignoring these patterns can be costly. Unexamined thought habits can lead to repeated mistakes, poor decisions, and misinterpretations of reality. They can limit personal growth, create misunderstandings, and cloud judgment over time. The chapter emphasizes that understanding your thought patterns is foundational to critical thinking. You cannot strengthen your reasoning without first recognizing the ways your mind tends to operate. Awareness gives you control. Once you see your patterns, you can decide which to keep, which to change, and which to discard. To sum it up, your mind works through patterns, not always logic. Observing and understanding these patterns allows you to take control of your thinking and make decisions based on clarity, not habit. Chapter 3. The Fundamentals of Critical Thinking. Critical thinking doesn't happen by chance. It follows principles, core elements that guide clear, logical, and effective reasoning. Cole explains that understanding these fundamentals is essential for making better decisions and avoiding errors in judgment. He begins by identifying the key components of critical thinking: clarity, accuracy, relevance, logic, depth, and fairness. Each element strengthens your reasoning in a specific way. Clarity ensures your ideas are understandable and precise. Without clarity, even correct thoughts can be misinterpreted. Accuracy requires that you verify facts and evidence before accepting them. Believing something because it feels true is not enough. Relevance asks whether information actually matters to the issue at hand, keeping your reasoning focused and meaningful. Logic demands consistency. Your conclusions must follow from your evidence, not contradict it. Depth challenges you to explore complex issues thoroughly instead of oversimplifying. Fairness requires consideration of multiple viewpoints without letting bias dominate your thinking. Cole emphasizes that questioning is at the heart of critical thinking. You must constantly ask, what is being claimed? What evidence supports it? Are there alternative explanations? What assumptions are being made? Critical thinking is not about doubting everything. It's about examining ideas carefully and systematically. It's a disciplined approach that turns opinions into reasoned judgments and reactive thinking into intentional action. He also points out that these fundamentals work together. Missing one element can weaken your reasoning. For example, logical arguments built on inaccurate information will fail, just as accurate information without relevance won't lead to meaningful conclusions. To sum it up, the fundamentals of critical thinking provide a framework for clear, rational, and effective reasoning. Mastering them allows you to analyze information objectively, make better decisions, and approach problems with confidence. Chapter 4. Overcoming Cognitive Biases. Your mind doesn't always think objectively. Cole explains that cognitive biases, automatic mental shortcuts, often distort judgment without you realizing it. These biases are not flaws. They are natural mechanisms that help humans make quick decisions in uncertain situations. But in modern life, they can lead to errors and poor choices. Cole begins by identifying common biases. Confirmation bias makes you favor information that supports your existing beliefs while ignoring evidence that contradicts them. Anchoring bias makes your first piece of information overly influential, even if it's irrelevant or misleading. Availability bias makes dramatic or recent events feel more common than they really are. These biases operate quietly and continuously, influencing decisions in finance, relationships, work, and everyday life. For example, you might trust a persuasive social media post simply because it aligns with your opinions, or you might overestimate a risk based on a recent news story rather than statistical reality. The key, Cole emphasizes, is not trying to eliminate bias completely. That is impossible. Instead, the goal is awareness. By recognizing your biases, you create the opportunity to pause, question, and evaluate your thinking more carefully. He also highlights intellectual humility as a critical tool. Acknowledging that your mind can mislead you allows you to actively challenge assumptions and seek evidence that contradicts your beliefs. This process strengthens decision-making and reduces the risk of errors caused by unchecked biases. To sum it up, cognitive biases are natural and unavoidable, but awareness and reflection are powerful tools. By recognizing your biases and questioning your assumptions, you can think more clearly, make better decisions, and approach problems with objectivity rather than habit or instinct. Chapter 5. Effective Problem-Solving Techniques. Solving problems is a skill, and like any skill, it requires structure, practice, and strategy. Cole explains that critical thinking turns problem-solving from guesswork into a disciplined process. He begins by emphasizing the importance of clearly defining the problem. Many mistakes occur because people act on assumptions or jump to solutions without fully understanding the issue. Asking questions like, "What exactly is the problem?" and "What are the underlying causes?" helps uncover the true challenge before taking action. Cole introduces several problem-solving approaches. One is breaking complex problems into smaller, manageable parts. This makes overwhelming issues easier to analyze and tackle systematically. Another is prioritizing problems based on impact and urgency, ensuring that attention is focused where it matters most. He also highlights creative thinking as part of problem-solving. Generating multiple potential solutions, considering unconventional approaches, and evaluating trade-offs can reveal options that may not be obvious at first glance. Critical thinking ensures that these solutions are assessed logically, rather than chosen impulsively or based on intuition alone. The chapter stresses the importance of evaluating outcomes. After implementing a solution, reflect on what worked, what didn't, and why. This iterative approach allows you to refine your methods and improve decision-making over time. Cole reminds readers that collaboration can strengthen problem-solving. Engaging diverse perspectives and questioning assumptions together often uncovers blind spots and leads to more robust solutions. To sum it up, effective problem-solving combines clear problem definition, structured analysis, creative solution generation, and thoughtful evaluation. By applying these techniques, you can approach challenges methodically, reduce errors, and make decisions with confidence rather than guesswork. Chapter 6. Analyzing Information and Arguments. Information is everywhere, but not all of it is accurate, relevant, or trustworthy. Cole explains that the ability to analyze information and arguments is central to critical thinking. It allows you to separate facts from opinions, strong reasoning from weak reasoning, and truth from misinformation. Cole begins by emphasizing the importance of identifying the claim. Every argument or piece of information is making a point. Understanding exactly what is being asserted is the first step toward evaluating it. Once you know the claim, you examine the evidence. Is it credible? Is it sufficient? Is it relevant to the conclusion being drawn? He highlights common pitfalls in analyzing arguments. People often accept claims because they are repeated, presented by authority figures, or align with their existing beliefs. Cole warns against relying on intuition alone. Emotions and biases can easily cloud judgment. The chapter also introduces logical structure as a tool. Strong arguments follow a clear line of reasoning. The evidence supports the conclusion. Assumptions are explicit, and counter-arguments are addressed. Weak arguments often rely on fallacies, vague claims, or irrelevant information. Cole encourages readers to learn to recognize these flaws and question them systematically. Another key point is evaluating multiple perspectives. A single source or viewpoint rarely tells the whole story. Considering alternative explanations, conflicting evidence, and opposing opinions strengthens understanding and prevents one-sided thinking. Cole also stresses context. Information cannot be evaluated in isolation. Understanding the background, circumstances, and nuances of an argument ensures that conclusions are based on the full picture rather than partial or misleading data. To sum it up, analyzing information and arguments requires identifying claims, examining evidence, recognizing logical structure, considering alternative perspectives, and understanding context. Mastering these skills allows you to think critically, avoid being misled, and make decisions based on reason rather than assumption. Chapter 7. Engaging with Diverse Perspectives. Critical thinking is not just about analyzing information. It's also about understanding different viewpoints. Cole emphasizes that engaging with diverse perspectives strengthens reasoning, reduces blind spots, and leads to more informed decisions. He begins by explaining that most people naturally gravitate toward opinions that match their own. This echo chamber effect limits understanding and reinforces biases. By contrast, actively seeking out differing perspectives challenges assumptions and broadens thinking. Cole highlights several strategies for engaging with diverse viewpoints. First, listen actively and without judgment. Understanding another perspective fully requires attention, patience, and the willingness to set aside personal beliefs temporarily. Second, ask clarifying questions. Explore the reasoning behind someone else's viewpoint, rather than dismissing it superficially. Third, analyze the evidence supporting alternative perspectives. Are the arguments logically sound? Is the evidence credible? He also stresses the importance of empathy. Recognizing why people think the way they do, based on their experiences, values, and context, allows for more meaningful dialogue. Engaging with diverse perspectives is not about agreeing with everyone, but about expanding understanding and refining your own reasoning. Cole warns that avoiding diverse perspectives can have real consequences. Decisions made in isolation, without challenge or critique, are more prone to errors, biases, and blind spots. Exposure to a variety of viewpoints acts as a reality check and strengthens critical thinking. To sum it up, engaging with diverse perspectives involves listening actively, questioning thoughtfully, and evaluating alternative arguments fairly. By doing so, you refine your own thinking, reduce bias, and make decisions that are more balanced, informed, and resilient. Chapter 8. Decision-Making Strategies for Success. Making decisions is a constant part of life, yet most people approach it impulsively or without clear structure. Cole explains that effective decision-making relies on critical thinking. It transforms choices from guesswork into deliberate, reasoned actions. He begins by emphasizing the importance of defining the decision clearly. Understanding exactly what choice needs to be made prevents confusion and ensures your focus is on the right problem. Vague or poorly defined decisions often lead to wasted time and poor outcomes. Cole introduces several strategies to improve decision-making. One is weighing pros and cons systematically, considering both short-term and long-term consequences. Another is evaluating probabilities, assessing how likely different outcomes are, and preparing accordingly. He also stresses the value of scenario planning, imagining multiple possible outcomes and how each could unfold. Another key point is recognizing cognitive and emotional influences. Impulse, fear, or overconfidence can lead to choices that feel urgent but are not optimal. By pausing, reflecting, and analyzing objectively, you reduce the risk of letting emotions dictate decisions. Cole also highlights the importance of learning from past decisions. Reviewing outcomes, both successes and failures, helps refine judgment and improves future decision-making. He emphasizes that good decision-making is iterative. It improves with practice, reflection, and adaptation. Collaboration is another valuable tool. Seeking input from others, especially those with different perspectives or expertise, increases the likelihood of identifying blind spots and uncovering better solutions. To sum it up, decision-making strategies for success involve clarity, structured evaluation, awareness of biases and emotions, scenario planning, and learning from experience. By applying these strategies, you can make choices that are thoughtful, informed, and more likely to lead to positive outcomes. Chapter 9. Building Mental Resilience. Life is full of challenges, setbacks, and uncertainty. Cole explains that mental resilience, the ability to recover, adapt, and thrive under pressure, is a critical component of effective thinking and decision-making. He begins by highlighting that resilience is not about avoiding stress or difficulty. It is about how you respond to them. People with strong mental resilience do not let setbacks define them. They learn from challenges and use them as opportunities for growth. Cole introduces strategies for building resilience. One is developing self-awareness, understanding your emotional reactions and thought patterns during stress. Another is cultivating a growth mindset, viewing failures as feedback rather than personal shortcomings. This mindset encourages learning, persistence, and adaptability. He also emphasizes the role of preparation, anticipating potential challenges, creating contingency plans, and practicing problem-solving under pressure strengthens your ability to cope when difficulties arise. Social support is another key factor. Surrounding yourself with people who offer guidance, perspective, and encouragement enhances your capacity to handle adversity. Cole stresses that resilience is built over time through consistent practice. Small, deliberate actions, like reflecting on experiences, reframing negative thoughts, and maintaining routines under stress, compound to strengthen mental toughness. To sum it up, mental resilience is the ability to adapt, recover, and continue moving forward despite challenges. By cultivating self-awareness, a growth mindset, preparation, and social support, you strengthen your capacity to handle adversity and maintain clear, effective thinking even under pressure. Chapter 10. Effective Communication and Critical Thinking. Critical thinking is not just an internal skill. It only reaches its full potential when paired with effective communication. Cole explains that the ability to express ideas clearly and persuasively is essential for sharing insights, influencing others, and solving problems collaboratively. He begins by emphasizing clarity. A thought, no matter how logical or well-reasoned, loses value if it cannot be understood by others. Clear communication requires organizing ideas, using precise language, and avoiding unnecessary jargon or ambiguity. Cole also highlights the importance of supporting claims with evidence. Just as critical thinking evaluates evidence before forming conclusions, communication should present information in a structured, convincing way. Arguments must be backed by facts, examples, and logical reasoning to be persuasive. Another key point is listening. Effective communication is a two-way process. Understanding others' viewpoints, asking clarifying questions, and engaging respectfully ensures that dialogue is productive rather than confrontational. Listening also helps identify assumptions, gaps, and potential misunderstandings in both your reasoning and others. He introduces strategies for aligning thinking and expression. One is structuring arguments logically, presenting a claim, supporting it with evidence, and addressing counterarguments. Another is anticipating questions and objections to strengthen your message. Cole notes that effective communication also involves emotional intelligence. Being aware of tone, body language, and context helps convey ideas in ways that are respectful and persuasive. Poor communication, even with correct reasoning, can lead to misinterpretation or conflict. To sum it up, effective communication amplifies critical thinking. By expressing ideas clearly, supporting arguments with evidence, listening actively, and considering context and emotion, you can share insights, influence decisions, and collaborate more successfully. Clear thinking paired with clear expression creates understanding, impact, and results. Chapter 11. Critical Thinking in Everyday Life. Critical thinking isn't just for academics, business, or debates. It's a skill that affects every part of daily life. Cole explains that the principles of critical thinking can improve decisions, relationships, and personal growth in practical, everyday situations. He begins by pointing out how often people make choices automatically, whether it's what to eat, how to spend money, or how to respond to conflict. Without critical thinking, these decisions are guided by habit, emotion, or social influence rather than careful reasoning. Cole emphasizes applying critical thinking through observation and questioning. For example, when faced with a news story, you can ask, who is the source? What evidence is provided? Is there another perspective? In personal relationships, questioning assumptions about others' intentions and clarifying expectations can prevent misunderstandings. He also highlights everyday problem-solving. Critical thinking helps break down complex situations, identify possible solutions, evaluate risks, and make informed choices. Even simple decisions, when approached thoughtfully, can have better outcomes and reduce unnecessary mistakes. Cole stresses that integrating critical thinking into daily life builds habits over time. Consistent practice makes reflection automatic, biases easier to spot, and decisions more intentional. Small, repeated applications, analyzing information before sharing it, questioning assumptions, or considering multiple perspectives, compound into stronger reasoning skills. To sum it up, critical thinking is not limited to formal settings. It is a practical skill for everyday life. By observing, questioning, and analyzing daily decisions, you can make better choices, reduce errors, improve relationships, and approach life with clarity and purpose. Chapter 12. Ethical Considerations in Critical Thinking. Critical thinking is a powerful tool, but with power comes responsibility. Cole explains that thinking clearly and reasoning effectively is not just about being smart, it is also about being ethical. How you use your thinking can have consequences for yourself and others. He begins by pointing out that critical thinking can be misused. People with strong reasoning skills can manipulate information, persuade unfairly, or justify harmful decisions if ethics are ignored. Being able to analyze arguments does not automatically mean acting with integrity. Cole emphasizes the importance of honesty and fairness. Ethical critical thinking requires accurately representing information, acknowledging uncertainties, and avoiding deception or selective presentation of evidence. It also means considering the impact of decisions on others and striving for outcomes that are just and responsible. Another key point is intellectual humility. Recognizing the limits of your knowledge and being willing to revise your conclusions when presented with better evidence is both intellectually and ethically important. Making decisions or taking actions based on incomplete or biased reasoning can harm others and undermine trust. Cole also discusses social responsibility. Critical thinkers should use their skills not only for personal gain, but for constructive purposes, solving problems, improving communities, and fostering understanding. Ethics and reasoning together guide choices that are not only logical, but also morally sound. To sum it up, ethical considerations are central to critical thinking. Clear reasoning without integrity can be dangerous, while honest, fair, and responsible thinking empowers positive outcomes. True mastery of critical thinking involves combining skill with ethical awareness, ensuring that decisions and actions are both effective and morally responsible. Chapter 13: Lifelong Learning and Continuous Improvement. Critical thinking is not a skill you master once and forget. Cole explains that it is a lifelong practice, one that grows stronger through continuous learning, reflection, and refinement. He begins by emphasizing the importance of curiosity. Lifelong learners are always asking questions, exploring new ideas, and seeking to understand the world more deeply. This curiosity fuels critical thinking, as it motivates you to challenge assumptions, seek evidence, and expand your knowledge. Cole also highlights the role of reflection. Regularly reviewing your decisions, reasoning processes, and thought patterns allows you to identify strengths, weaknesses, and areas for improvement. Reflection turns experience into insight and mistakes into learning opportunities. Another key principle is adaptability. The world changes rapidly, and rigid thinking can lead to poor decisions. Lifelong learners embrace new information, adjust their perspectives, and remain open to revising beliefs when evidence demands it. This flexibility strengthens reasoning and ensures thinking remains relevant and effective. Cole stresses the importance of practice. Critical thinking develops through repeated application, analyzing arguments, evaluating evidence, solving problems, and learning from outcomes. The more you apply these skills intentionally, the more natural and automatic they become. Finally, he emphasizes the mindset of continuous improvement. Mastery is not the goal. Growth is. Even experienced thinkers can benefit from feedback, exposure to new perspectives, and ongoing learning. Lifelong learning ensures that critical thinking remains dynamic, evolving, and increasingly effective over time. To sum it up, lifelong learning and continuous improvement are essential to mastering critical thinking. By cultivating curiosity, reflecting on experience, embracing adaptability, and practicing consistently, you can strengthen your reasoning, make better decisions, and continue growing intellectually throughout life. Critical thinking isn't just a skill, it's a mindset. It shapes how you process information, make decisions, solve problems, and navigate the challenges of everyday life. Cole shows us that by understanding our thought patterns, overcoming biases, and applying structured reasoning, we can make smarter choices, improve productivity, and grow personally and professionally. Remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about being intentional with your thinking, learning continuously, and improving every day. So take these lessons, apply them in your life, and watch how your decisions, actions, and results start to change for the better. And that's a wrap on Critical Thinking Mastery by Tyler Andrew Cole. If you found these insights helpful, make sure to like this video and share it. It really helps support the channel. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss a book that can boost your productivity and personal growth. I'd love to hear from you. Which chapter or idea stood out the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and remember, thinking better leads to living smarter. See you in the next video.